Gracias, Eva. Gracias a todos los que organizaron ETHLatam, la verdad que increíble. Nada que envidiarle a cualquier evento cripto global. Bueno, voy a hablar en inglés. Parte del equipo que trabaja con nosotros no habla castellano y parte de la comunidad tampoco, así que como lo transmitimos, se transmite por YouTube, paso a inglés, así que bueno, más difícil también para mí. Pero bueno, acá estamos. So, exactly protocol, it's trying to decentralize the time value of money. You can think, what is this about? So the idea of this presentation is to show you, basically to answer these questions, how we can make DeFi something that people can use on their daily life, how we can make use of this amazing technology, but today it looks like more like a casino where you have tokens and you want to get more tokens with the tokens you have. So you start using one protocol, you get leverage, then you swap the tokens, you make some money, you lose some money, but sometimes it looks like this, which is fine because it's the first use case for this amazing technology. But then there's a guy called Dimitrovich. I don't know if you know him. He has this quote that I read like 2 years ago, where basically he says, the spectacular price increases and the billions sitting in digital wallets and smart contracts are worthless if they're just based on speculation and not actual use. So this person is also known as Vitalik Buterin, and I think he's spending a lot of time trying to make crypto, DeFi, Ethereum, something that has an actual use. When I'm talking about actual use, it's just not for trading, but to try to solve a daily problem. For example, credit, in the case of DeFi. So when you think how to use DeFi in an actual use case, for example, credit, I think we have at least 2 big challenges. Number one is that it's super short term. When I'm talking about super short term, it's 14 seconds. It's a time around 14 seconds, which is the time that, a new block is coming. So every 14 seconds, if you're using a protocol, a money market protocol, you will get a new rate every 14 seconds. That it's fine if you are doing trading, but if you want to buy a car, if you want to buy a house, perhaps it's not the best way to do it. So if you look at DeFi and the TVL of the borrow and lending protocols, only 2% of the TVL is used in fixed rate protocols. So only 2% of the money has a fixed rate for a certain time of time. 98% of the money has a variable rate today. So the interest rate is changing every 14 seconds. And then you get a very interesting market size of $90 billion, which is a lot of money. But if you compare this with traditional finance, you will see exactly the opposite, where 98% of the liquidity is with fixed rate, because the average consumer needs a fixed rate. He cannot change how money he makes per month. He has, let's say, a fixed salary or fixed income, and so he can take a loan, and he wants to know how much money he has to pay every month. And then if you look at the size of the market, of the traditional finance market, lending market, it's 127 trillions, which is a lot of money, but it's over 1,400 times the size of DeFi today. So this is the biggest opportunity ever in the history of finance. So you can get a new technology, find a way to use it in a different way, and have a market opportunity of 1,411 times the market size that you have today. So let's start with the first challenge, which is how we can move from protocols that have variable rates, super short term, every 14 seconds, to, let's say, a protocol where you can deposit money or you can borrow money at a fixed rate for, let's say, 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. And this is exactly what we are trying to do with this new protocol. So if you want to get your attention for the first few minutes, what we are doing is we are trying to complete the credit market. We want to have variable rates and fixed rates in the same protocol. And in order to do that, we're going to have another challenge, which is how you can make this technology available for every user in the world, not just the ones that have tokens. But this is a challenge that we're going to talk about in the next presentation, not today. But this is the second big challenge that we need to get resolved in order to connect DeFi with the real world and have a use case that everybody can use. So the question is, okay, everything is super interesting. There is a huge opportunity. We are trying to solve this opportunity, but why we are doing this, okay? Why we are doing this? Let's start with the why. And a lot of people talk about blockchain, tokens, governance, many things, NFTs, which are very interesting pieces of technology and very cool things to talk about, but we are not thinking about this. This is just a way to solve a problem. So we are doing this because we think that there is a huge opportunity to really democratize credit in a decentralized and efficient way. And when I'm talking about this, when you look at the world today, you have almost 200 countries, and every country has a different central bank, a different credit system, a different currency in many cases. So you have like 200 credit markets around the world, okay? But there is an opportunity to connect all these markets in one market of credit. So if you're living in Argentina or living in the US, you will have access to the same liquidity, and it doesn't matter where you live, okay? So let me give you an example. This is a very happy marriage, started a few years ago, so they are very happy. They have Carla. She's very smart, she's very, very nice, and this couple makes some money per month, okay? But both persons work on a daily basis, and they know they have X amount of money, a fixed monthly income, and they want to buy a house or a car or a computer or travel. So if they look at DeFi today, they can't pay a variable interest rate that changes every 14 seconds. For them, it's crazy. They were not going to do it. But they can pay a fixed interest rate for a number of months or years as they are doing today. But the problem is that if this couple, and Carla also, live in Spain, for example, if you go to the website of the biggest bank in Spain, you will see that they will have to pay around 8% annual rate in euros without collateral, which is, for Argentina, it's almost free money, but in Europe, it's not free money, and for them, it's a lot of money. So it's okay. They can go to the bank and ask for a loan. But let's say that Alice, Bob, and Carla live in Argentina because they like to eat asado and they like to come to ETHLatam. And they have exactly the same job that they have in Spain, and they go to the same bank, but in this case, the Argentine version of the bank. And they go to a website and they want to take the same loan, they will have to pay 70% in pesos, okay? But 70%, which is almost 10 times the cost of the same borrow if they live in Spain. And just a quick comment here, I made this presentation 1 month ago, and this was 55%, so now it's 70%. So let's see how this rate moves forward. So this is a huge problem because the 195 different credit systems that we have in the world have different ways of working for the same people, and we think that there's an opportunity to solve that problem. So our question is, why is this happening? Okay? And you probably live in Argentina and you know the answer. This is happening because there are central banks everywhere. And these central banks around the world, because of COVID, printed a lot of money. We in Argentina are champions printing money every year, but in most of these countries, for the first time in many years, they printed trillions of dollars. Just to give you an example, in the US, the Federal Reserve printed $5 trillion, which is, I don't know, 20 times the GDP of Argentina in a couple of months. And now you are getting inflation. So you have a lot of problems in the world, and those problems affect the credit market of these 195 countries. And at the end of the day, Alice, Bob, and Carla suffer if they want to, for example, do something with their money, or if they need to borrow money for something. So the next question is, okay, everything, it's amazing, what we can do. Can crypto solve this problem? As you already know, and Seba Serrano was talking about this, many years ago in 2008, we don't know who did this paper, but someone found a way to decentralize money in a very interesting way. So this is a blockchain called Bitcoin, where you have a single cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. This is amazing, okay? But this solution will not bring credit to Alice, Bob, and Carla. Then in 2014, our friend Vitalik came up with an idea to transform a little bit the idea of Bitcoin and create the decentralized single virtual machine. So in this virtual machine, you can run a lot of contracts, and you can run software. For example, tokens, NFTs, DAOs. Even us, we can run our own protocol. So in some way, you have a decentralized computer network where you can run software. And this is amazing because we can use this technology to solve this global problem. So now we have a layer called Ethereum. On top of we can build software and give credit to anybody around the world. So we published the white paper, I think 1 month ago. And now, today, we are opening the testnet to everybody to use our protocol and to see how it works. But let me first give you a brief explanation of what we are doing and how we are solving this problem. So basically, the problem is how you discover the interest rate based on something, okay? So if you go to the bank, you discover interest rate, if going to the website, and you will see the interest rate. But that interest rate was, someone put that number in the website, okay? So the challenge is how you discover an interest rate without a human intervention, how you discover interest rate in some way with software. So there are 2 very important protocols that already solve this problem for variable rate, and they solve this discovering the interest rate just looking at the utilization rate of a pool of assets, let's say DAI. So if there is a lot of DAI available, the interest rate is low, and if there is a low utilization rate, the interest rate changes. So they look at the utilization rate, and based on that, they give you automatically the rate. And that approach works super well. 98% of the total value lock is being used with this approach. And then you have, since last year, at least 4 protocols that are trying to generate a fixed rate. They're trying to discover the fixed interest rate to solve the problem that we talked before. And they are doing this with 2 approaches. One is called one maturity token. So the idea is that you have a token, but this token has an expiration date. And you discover the interest rate based on the price of the token, similar to a zero coupon bond, where you discover the interest rate based on the price of the bond. And this approach looks very good in paper, but then when you go to the blockchain, it doesn't work very well. That's why this type of protocols have only 2% of the liquidity, because at the end of the day, this token will have an expiration date, so you cannot trade the token in a normal IMM. So there is another type of solution, which is called 2 maturity tokens. So basically, you give a token and they generate 2, but then you have the same problem, which is how you trade that token. You need to create your own AMM. So all these approaches didn't get a lot of market share so far. So our idea was, let's take the approach that works super well for the variable rate and then add on top of that a layer of time. So that's what we did. So we have exactly protocol using multiple utilization rates. So we have pools for variable rate, and we have different pools with a maturity day in each of these pools. Let me compare a little bit how this works. So in, let's say, 2019, 2020, the money market protocol started to create deposits and borrows with this approach. And you can deposit and borrow on a variable rate. Then 2020, there came 2 other protocols, and they were the first ones to give you the opportunity to deposit or borrow at a fixed rate. And then last year, you got more protocols trying to solve this problem with this idea of 1 token or 2 tokens. And this year, we are launching exactly. So we are trying to learn from the market, from all these experiences, and bring to the market a new protocol trying to solve at the same time variable rates and fixed rates. So what makes exactly different? Okay, we have a lot of things behind the scenes in order to solve this problem. The first one is a new interest rate model. We're going to do a workshop at 4 p.m. with all the team, so they will give you the details, but just to go through a couple of bullet points. So this new interest rate model, it's different from the one that you, for example, if you're using a money market, this is a linear function. It's not like this. And this type of function, it's a little bit technical, but allows different persons that they can create on top of this derivative markets and new interesting things on top of this new interest rate model. So again, if you're interested in the math, 4 p.m. it's going to be a workshop to talk about this. Then the second thing is that we have this dynamic loss factor, which is very related to the risk model that we have on the protocol. Basically, when someone doesn't pay for the loan, you get liquidated, or if the price of the collateral goes down, you get liquidated. And the idea that we have is that if that happens, we want to make sure that the process is as smooth as possible. So many of the protocols today, when there is a problem with the collateral and goes down the price, they basically open the possibility of someone to come and liquidate the position, okay? And in this case, let's say the price of ETH goes down 10% and you are underwater, someone can take 50% of your collateral and get a 10% commission to liquidate the position. And we think we can do a more fair job and have a dynamic loss factor. So in any case, it's not going to be 50% the liquidation. The close factor is going to depend on the level of collateral that you have. So this idea of health ratio and the solvency condition. Again, 4 p.m. we can talk about this, but just to give you a brief explanation. Then, as we talked before, in order to solve this problem of the interest rate, fixed and variable, we have multiple utilization rates. This is, I'm trying to explain very quickly how it works. So you have a pool of money where people can deposit money or can borrow money. When you deposit money, you get a voucher. This is a token, and then you can use this voucher to ask for a borrow. This is how the market works today, okay? The innovation here is that we are putting on top of this several fixed rate pools where you can deposit money or you can borrow money, and that pool will have an expiration date. And with this strategy, we can discover the fixed rate, okay? So this is, in a very simple way, how the protocol works. And this is what we call dynamic utilization rate. Then the last part, and very important, is the solvency condition. You have been seeing, like in the press, that some protocols went down. They offer you a fixed rate, but then something happened and nobody received that fixed rate. So it's very important to understand the solvency condition, how we can assure that if you deposit fixed, you're going to get that fixed rate back on time. So in order to do that, we have, again, a very interesting mathematical model, but just to explain very quickly, it's very simple. First, you need someone to borrow money at a fixed rate. Let's say someone wants to borrow money at a fixed rate. He has to put a collateral on the variable rate pool, and with that collateral, he can ask for money. So at that moment, we are using the variable rate pool to provide the liquidity to this borrow, and this borrow will have, let's say, a 1 year period of time to repay, okay? So we know at that time that we're going to receive $100,000 in interest rate payments for the next 12 months. We know that for sure. So we can do at that time is to offer to someone that wants to deposit money at a fixed rate that we have those interest rates to be collected in the next 12 months. So that's how we can assure that if you deposit money, we're going to pay you this $100,000 in interest rates. If nobody wants to deposit fixed, no problem. That money is going to be provided by the variable rate pool, okay? So in this way, we can always assure that if someone deposits money, we're going to pay him back exactly that interest rate when the maturity pool gets to the final day. This is just an example of how the flows of money are moving on this fixed rate pool. But to explain very simple, we need to have a borrow first, and we know how much money we're going to collect in interest rate on that borrow, and we can offer to any user, any wallet, those interest rates to be collected and create a fixed rate deposit for this user. Okay, so let's talk now about some cases in DeFi. Okay, we have a casino, so we need to play an interesting game as we get traction and product market fit to then connect with the real world with Alice, Bob, and Carla. So to start, we need to provide a playground to the DeFi community so they can use this new protocol. The first one is quite simple, is to arbitrage between fixed and variable rates for different maturity dates. So we are the first protocol to have variable rate and different maturity dates for fixed rate. So you deposit collateral in the variable rate, and then you can start arbitrage different rates for variable and fixed. This is quite simple. If you're a trader, you can do that. Then you can arbitrage between different fixed rates for different maturity dates. Let's say there is a maturity date of DAI in 1 month, and there is a maturity date for DAI in 2 months, and several months. You can start arbitrage those different maturity dates for the same asset. And this one is also another use case, which is if you think that, for example, because of the merge, the price of ETH is going to go up, which is something that probably most of us think, okay, let's take advantage of this. We want to have a leverage position. We want to deposit ETH, borrow DAI, sell that DAI, and deposit more ETH. Okay, we get a leverage trade using DeFi. You can do that today with many protocols, but you are taking a risk, which is the interest rate. Perhaps the price of ETH goes up, but also the interest rate goes up. In that case, you make money with the bet of betting on top of Ethereum, but you lose money because the interest rate goes up also. So with Exactly protocol, you can hedge the interest rate risk using different maturity pools. And if you deposit, let's say, on a fixed rate, and you need the money before expiration date because, I don't know, you want to do a new trade or you need to buy something, you can also do an early withdrawal of the deposit, and the protocol will give you the money back at a different rate. And if you borrow at the fixed rate, also you can do an early repay. Okay, so the protocol has a lot of optionality for the users in order to use it for many different things. Okay, so in order to do all that, we were working for more than a year. We have a team of people, more than 10 people working in this, but also security is super important. So we have been working with 5 different top auditors, CoinSpec, ChainSafe, Certic, and AVDK. And also, we did a mathematical audit of all the protocol with CryptoEcon. All this is going to be published on the website before launching, so you can read the report. So how are we going to get to Alice, Bob, and Carla? Because so far we are talking about DeFi, about trading. So the first step is to go to DeFi and provide a playground to the DeFi users. And those initial DeFi users are going to be what we call a whale. It's a user that typically knows how to trade, how to code, has a lot of money in the wallet. So we want to get more product market fit from these whales in order to understand if the protocol works well or if we need to continue improving the product. So once we got product market fit with the whales, we need to get to the DeFi users that are using aggregators or are using exchanges or wallets. In this case, we plan to go to L2 to lower the gas price of the transactions and to get more scalability. And then also launch our own token, decentralized governance. So this is the path to decentralization as we get product market fit. And the last step is to get to Alice and Bob and Carla, which are let's hope that they are together in a few years when we're going to get here. And also we need to work also to provide them a way not to have a fixed rate, but also to have a different credit scoring in order for them not to deposit so much money as collateral. So if you want to understand everything that I talked in the last 20 minutes, perhaps this meme will give you an explanation of that. We think that in the next few years, you're going to have very interesting applications on the front end. You're going to have fintechs, wallets, anything you are used to use today in the website. I don't know, whatever you want, you can have on the front end. But then on the back end, on those applications, we think you're going to have DeFi. So DeFi is going to be the back end of the financial sector in the next few years, and we want to be part of that. So the typical question is, okay, when mainnet? So we have been working with the community, and we were going to all these events to explain what we are doing. So in the 8th of July, we were in ETH Barcelona. We did a workshop. We published the white paper. Then the 20th of July, we went to Ethereum Community Conference in Paris. We published the mathematical paper, and also we did a demo there. And now, in Buenos Aires, August 11, we are doing this presentation. Then 4 p.m., we are doing a workshop. And I think in 8 minutes, we are opening the testnet. So if you go to exact.ly, you will have access to a testnet. You can also use some coins that we're going to give you for free and test the product and give us feedback. And then, at the end of this month, we're going to freeze the code and do the last 3 audits of the protocol. And if everything works well, in some day of September, we can go to mainnet with this new protocol and launch. So if you go to exact.ly, in 7 minutes, you will have a button, and you click on that button, and you're going to get to this application. So basically, you can have variable rates and fixed rates on the same application. In this case, you can deposit all these assets at variable rate pools, or you can borrow all these assets on a variable rate pool, and then you can select maturity dates for the different fixed rate pools. So this is the first time that a protocol puts together variable rates plus fixed rates in the same protocol, and then also you can use a dashboard where you can track your position. You're going to get a voucher and ERC20 token for your deposit at the variable rate pool, and you're going to get an NFT for your deposit on the fixed rate pool. So we think it's interesting. So please come at 4 p.m. for the workshop. The team will give a complete testnet explanation of how the testnet works. And I think it's going to be very useful for the community and for us to gain feedback from you. So very important, the POAP keyword, ETHLatam. And if you want to know more about us, just go to exact.ly and get variable fixed rates in the same protocol. Thank you.